ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदम् पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Now next on the page 8, this all we can chant together. Shruti smruti purananam alayam karunalayam namami bhagavat padam shankaram loka shankaram shankaram shankaracharyam केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Now we come to Gītā Dhyanam on the page 12. We'll change the first verse and the last verse on the page 14. ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। अवस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Now go to page 15. Let us recite the first three verses which we did yesterday. Let me chant and please repeat after me. Arjuna uvacha Sannyasam karmanam Krishna Punaryogam cha shamsasi Yachreya etayorekam Tanme bruhi sunischitam Shri Bhagavan uvacha Sannyasah karma yogascha Nishreyasakaravubhav Tayostu karma sannyasad Karma yogo vishishyate Jneyasya nitya sannyasi Yo nadveshti na kankshate Nirdvandvo hi mahabaho Sukham bandhat pramuchyate. So this chapter started with a question on the part of Arjuna, who is seeking a clarification as to whether he is a spiritual seeker, he is what we call mumukshu or desirous of moksha. He is seeking moksha, meaning an unconditional freedom, unconditional happiness. This is what every human being is seeking. Every human being is seeking that, but most human beings do not know that that is what they are seeking. When this understanding arises in our life, that what I am seeking is to become free from every limitation, that I want to be limitless, meaning I want to be free from every limitation, I want to be free from any sense of want or lack. I want to be free from any kind of dependence or helplessness. This is what I want. And secondly, that no amount of gains or attainments in life, whether in terms of wealth, name, fame, prosperity, whatever the worldly achievements are there, all the achievements are great in themselves. However, they do not have the capacity to fulfill this desire of mine. That this is the desire behind all the desires, behind various desires, various wants that I have. If I analyze what it is that I am seeking, because when we look at our life, we discover that in spite of having fulfilled so many desires, in spite of having made so many accomplishments, each one of us is an accomplished person in our own right. And still, that inner satisfaction does not seem to come. I do not find myself satisfied with myself. I still find discomfort within myself. I do not enjoy a sense of fulfillment. I may enjoy it for a little while when the desire is satisfied, when something is achieved, when my ego is gratified. Under those conditions, I do feel a sense of satisfaction for a while, but it does not last too long. Whereas what I want is a lasting satisfaction. I want to be free from a sense of lack or want once and for all. This insight about one's own self arose in the mind of Arjuna. And that is why he appeal to Lord Krishna. Yash shreyasyat nishchitam bruhitan me. Oh Lord, please tell me that, teach me that, knowing which I can become free from this lack or want once and for all. So this is first thing that is to arise in the life of a human being. Bhagavad Gītā addresses basically these people. Bhagavad Gītā has material for many others also. But primarily, the teaching of Bhagavad Gītā is addressed to a person in whom there is this recognition that what I am seeking is unconditional freedom. That is what I have always been seeking. That I am born with this desire. It is not that I have decided to become free. It is that I am born with this desire. And I have been experiencing freedom now and then. But that does not satisfy me because I want a lasting freedom. I want freedom without conditions. I do not want any strings to be attached to my freedom or happiness. This is what I am seeking. And nothing that I can see can satisfy that. Arjuna said to Lord Krishna, Naka nakinno rajyena govinda kim bhogehi jivitena va. Oh Lord, even if I get a kingdom, so what? If I get all the objects of pleasure, so what? If I get long life, so what? These are the things that everybody is wanting, everybody is seeking. Arjuna also has been seeking this so far. But today, in the midst of the battlefield, when a great conflict arose in his mind, something triggered this insight. What triggered in case of Arjuna was this situation in the battlefield, where he was confronted with a situation which was extremely painful, and he wanted to avoid it, and for that he wanted to leave the battlefield. All of that is okay. And he presented arguments in justification of why this battle should not be fought. All that Arjuna did. But in that process, he recognized that his grief or sadness has much deeper roots than just this particular situation. That this situation, wherein is required to send weapons against his own kith and kin, against own near and dear ones, that situation has triggered a sudden insight into him, where he recognizes that even if I win this battle, even if I get the victory, and he was fairly sure of getting there, not that it was a little bit of question, but still, Arjuna was not afraid of fighting, and was fairly confident also about himself. But he recognized that in spite of all those accomplishments, here and hereafter, at one point he tells Lord Krishna, Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyat yachhokamuchoshanam indriyanam. This grief that I experience in my heart, the burning sensation that I have in my heart, in my sense organs, in my being, I do not think that this burning, this grief can be removed even if I get the unrivaled kingdom of the whole world. Not only that, if I get even the rulership of heavens, even those accomplishments also, I do not think that they can remove this grief. This insight Arjuna got. And therefore, he realized that he needs to know something. That he is confused. looking at his past life, he realized that what all has been done has not given him that satisfaction. And that's why he submitted himself to Lord Krishna. He surrendered at the feet of Lord Krishna and requested for this knowledge, which can give him the freedom once and for all. Arjuna has declared himself as a mumukshu, meaning the one who is desirous of moksha, desirous of liberation. For that, what to do? He did not understand at that time as to how this duty which was to be performed in the situation, namely fighting this battle, or any duty that we may have in our life. We may not be in a situation that Arjuna was, but each one of us is often required to confront situations that are unpleasant. We are often required to do things of which the consequences are not attractive, not desirable, or not pleasant. And usually our choice is to do what we like, to do that which can give us desirable consequences. And often thus there arises a conflict between what I like to do and what is right to do. When what is right to do is not what I like to do, what is right to do does not necessarily bring pleasant or favorable consequences, that is when the conflict arises. Otherwise, if what I like to do and what is right to do, if both of them are one, there is no conflict. That I can be honest also. And I can get what I want in my life, no problem. Nobody will be dishonest. If a person can get what he or she wants by fair means, nobody will resort to foul means. But on one hand, there may be my greed. On the other hand, there may be honesty or truthfulness. If I remain honest, I may not get as much income as I otherwise would have. What they call backdating. All kinds of things are going on these days. People who are so wealthy, they do these things. If people who are very poor, if they compromise values, it's understandable. Pardonable, put it this way. But we find that values are violated more by people who have plenty. I do not know what they will do. If you get $71 million more, so what will you do with that? I don't know. But all will be so tempting for power, for wealth. There is politics going on everywhere, for recognition, for Nobel Prizes, everywhere, all kinds of politics. Nothing is simple. If you have the right connections, if you are very smart, then you can get ahead. So, we find that people who are already well known, they want to become more well known, and for that sometimes they compromise the values. What is right is not always what I like. And that's where the conflict is. Arjuna also had that conflict. He knew in the heart of his heart, what is right is that he should fight this battle because he is in this battlefield to protect dharma or righteousness. Pandavas represent the forces of dharma. The Duryodhana and Kauravas represent adharma or unrighteousness. This is a classical conflict. Also a conflict going on in our own heart between our good tendencies, our goodness, and also some evil tendencies also which we unfortunately have. A battle going on within. Thus this battle in the field of Kurukshetra symbolize also the battle constantly going on in our own heart. It is that battle which Lord Krishna wants us to win. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, first win that inner battle and then alone proceed to fight in the outer battle. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddha yujyasva. Tata, thereafter may you then proceed to fight this battle. But before that, acquire the equanimity of mind, where sukha dukkhe same krutva, where you get pleasure or pain as a result of your duty, look upon them as equal. Meaning that you are performing this action because it's the right thing to do, not because it brings pleasure to you. If it's right to do and brings pain, be willing to accept the pain, also the consequence, if it is the right thing to do. Because what is right, to do what is right, is conducive to your inner growth, your spiritual growth. What is good, what in Upanishad, Kathopanishad called path of praise or path of the pleasant, that may bring some temporary good, temporary happiness. It may bring what we call short-term gain, but bring about a long-term pain. Whereas what is right may involve a short-term pain, but it has a long-term gain. Not only at the spiritual level, even in the material level. Bhagavad Gītā in fact says, even for material prosperity, even for material success, do what is right. Do not compromise means for the sake of the end. If compromise means, compromise values, you may get what we call the short-term gain, but ultimately long-term pain. What is doing right? Is going to involve short-term pain, because it would involve giving some attachment. Attachment to an extra income, that attachment I have to give up, then alone I can be honest. Attachment to a greater promotion, that also I have to give up, then only I can be honest or right. So very often being right, doing what is right, does involve giving up things. Giving up something which is valuable to me, which I think is valuable to me. Which, as I said, are things like this wealth, name, fame, recognition, etc. I have made them valuable. Whether they are valuable or not is a different thing. But I have superimposed, I have projected much more value than what they have. It is not that wealth is not valuable, it is acquired, it is valuable to live our life. To perform our duties, we require the resources. We require wealth. Name, fame, power, recognition, all of these are required in certain measure. Even to perform our duty also we require those things. But that is their usefulness in our life. If I think that alone is my life, if I think that they can give me a real fulfillment or success, no, that is a wrong perception about them. This and the wrong perception we are born with, we see the whole world as that perception also, unfortunately. And particularly today means, in the 20th and 21st century, that what is praised, what is extolled, what we are bombarded with, what is the front page of the newspapers, are people who accomplish wealth, name, fame, etc. It's natural for us to believe that a person is successful only when a person, he or she acquires that. We never question that conclusion. The whole world seems to have a conclusion. And we follow that conclusion also, like the sheep following the leader sheep without even questioning whether or not the leader sheep is going the right way or not. If the sheep that leads falls into a pit, everybody will fall into a pit and then jump up. They never will want to, they never think that we can go around this pit. So these are the acquired values. And they create this conflict in our life. Because I have concluded, looking at the whole world, that success lies only in name, fame, recognition, and wealth and prosperity. Not realizing that success really lies in what we call the inner prosperity. Not only there is outer prosperity, there is also inner prosperity. In terms of acquiring the inner wealth. What in Bhagavad Gītā is called the Devi Sampat, or the divine tendencies, the divine wealth. Ahimsa, Satyam, Akrodha, Tyagaha, Shantihi, Apaishanam, non-violence, truthfulness, non-anger, forgiveness, compassion. These are said to be the divine tendencies, the inner wealth. Bhagavad Gītā teaches the real success lies in accumulation of the inner wealth. And that is what one should acquire. That's what the life is meant for. If this is clear, if we recognize from our own experiences that happiness is when I enjoy inner peace, when my mind is free from conflict, when I am comfortable with myself, when I am accepting of myself, that is, I feel good about myself when I am honest, not when I am dishonest. I have a respect for myself when I can show compassion and not anger or cruelty. Just as I respect other people when they are honest, when they are kind, when they are compassionate, so also I respect myself when I am kind or compassionate, honest. I do not respect myself when I am dishonest or when I am cruel. And when I do not respect myself, how can I be at peace with myself? When we recognize that, real success lies in being at peace with ourselves, because that is what makes me happy. That is what gives me a sense of fulfillment. That is where the real success is. If this is understood, then what Bhagavad Gītā teaches in terms of karma yoga becomes possible. So therefore, Lord Krishna says that, hey Arjuna, the first step in life is to acquire that inner peace. In Vedanta, they call it the Antahakana Shuddhi, the inner purification. It is the impurity obtaining in my own mind, in my own heart, that really creates agitation in my mind. That is what deprives me of the peace which is my own nature. And therefore, in order for me to be happy, to enjoy that unconditional freedom or happiness, it is necessary that there should be peace within my own self. I should be at peace with myself. I should be accepting myself. I should be respectful of myself. Unfortunately, I want respect from the whole world where I do not respect my own self. And that is why my need for respect from the world, because I do not respect myself. If I respect myself, it does not matter to me whether the world respects me or not. So Lord Krishna says that both sannyasa and karma yoga, both of them can give you the moksha or the freedom that you are seeking. But hey Arjuna, if you are not ready, it is better that you continue to perform your duty in the spirit of yoga, because it is a sure path to bring you the inner peace and ultimately the wisdom that you are seeking. Thus in the third verse we are told, Nyasya nitya sannyasi yona dveshta nikangshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Hey Arjuna, you want to become a sannyasi. Arjuna wanted to become sannyasi, meaning that he wanted to give up this duty. So theoretically, nobody can give the duty unless one takes sannyasa. Arjuna also could not have justified avoiding this battle, avoiding this duty, unless he formally took sannyasa, where formally you renounce your duties. But before taking that sannyasa, before giving up your duties, before giving up all karma, it is necessary to become free from that which makes me perform karma. As we discussed last night, I do not have freedom not to do something. I do not have freedom not to perform an action, because it is the discomfort within my own self that forces me to do things. That inner pressures in that discomfort that forces me to do things. As we said yesterday, that even if I want to sit quietly, I am not able to do that. In a few minutes, the restlessness within myself, the discomfort within myself forces me to engage in some activity. Arjuna, therefore, you do not have freedom to give up action. Therefore, better perform action, whereby you can channelize your inner discomfort in creative ways. So karma or action is a creative action. An action whereby you can contribute something. So Lord Krishna here teaches that karma or action is called yoga, which is performed in the sense of contribution, in the sense of offering. We'll discuss that in subsequent verses. That the self-centeredness which is there within me, which I am always trying to satisfy all the time, in every action, in every interaction, in every transaction, I am always looking for self-interest. And thus, trying to always nourish and nurture my self-centeredness. And more I do that, more successful I think I am. Not recognizing that nourishing my self-centeredness is like offering milk to a snake, a poisonous snake. Then you are only contributing to poison. And similarly also, more I try to satisfy my self-centeredness, more demanding and more restless, in fact, my personality becomes, which we have not noted. We generally think that when we can get some advantage, some reward, some personal benefit, some personal reward, some personal advantage through doing something. That I call the mark of success. But Lord Krishna teaches that no, it is a self-centeredness, in fact, which is the source of all my inner discomfort or restlessness. And therefore, what we need to become free from is from this self-centeredness. Therefore, Lord Krishna teaches other-centeredness. From self-centeredness to other-centeredness. That's called Karma Yoga. Perform action for the well-being of others, for the benefit of others, as your contribution to the community, to the world. Become a contributor from being a consumer. Become a giver from a grabber. I want to grab all the time. From a grabber, become a giver. This is what Lord Krishna is teaching in the language that we understand. Here the word that is used is called yajna. Yajna means a consecrated action, a dedicated action. As a result, here Arjuna, you will progressively become free from the self-centeredness, from an inner lack and want. You will discover a greater peace within yourself. No yuna dveshtina kankshate, one who does not hate, one who is not longing for anything. You will discover inner self-sufficiency, inner satisfaction, so that your longing for the things will automatically drop. And your hatred for things also will drop. Because when I am longing for something, when I want something very badly, when I cannot do without something, then whatever comes in my way of fulfilling the desire becomes an object of my hatred. So attachment and aversion always go together. Here Arjuna, this raga dveshas, attachments and aversions, this is what in fact creates all the discomfort, all the restlessness within your mind, and that's what deprives you of the peace or happiness which is your nature. So the second line said, Nirdvando hi mahabaho. Here Arjuna, become one who enjoys this equanimity of the mind under changing situations. The life consists of what they call dvandva, or pairs of opposites. Things are never the same, they always change. Now rain, then shine. You never know. Sometimes a person is agreeable, sometimes disagreeable. Sometimes honor, sometimes dishonor. Sometimes success, sometimes failure. Sometimes gain, sometimes loss. Sometimes stock prices rise, sometimes fall. This is how life is. And what happens is that we keep on reacting to this. When I open the newspaper and my stock price have risen, I just become elated with joy. After 15 days I find they have fallen, I get depressed. So harsha and shoka, elation and depression, this is how I react all the time. When somebody praises me, I become elated. The same person who praises me under one condition might also censure me under other condition, I become depressed. The way things are, any given thing which can give me happiness, that very same thing also can give me unhappiness. You should know that. Anything. Any person whom you love, you can hate that person. Meaning the one who is a loving person also can become a hating person, or one whom you love under one conditions, you can hate that person also under other conditions. Even wealth also, which can give me happiness in one condition, can become a big burden under some other conditions also. People sometimes will get rid of wealth because income tax is behind them, this is behind them, something is behind them, change this, put it in this name, that name, whatever, I don't know. All kinds of manipulations are going on. Anything that is an asset can become a liability. Anything that is a source of happiness can become source of unhappiness. Anything that gives me pleasure can also give me pain. This is how life is. This is how everything is. And thus, I confront these pairs of opposites all the time. Sometimes favorable, sometimes unfavorable. Sometimes desirable, undesirable. Likable, dislikable. Whether things are there or not, such or not, I keep on branding them that way anyway. Whenever I confront any situation, I first put a stamp, desirable, undesirable. I like it, I hate it. I want it, I do not want it. First I brand them and then I react. What is desirable, I embrace. Undesirable, I want to get rid of. Thus, my mind always reacts. And therefore, I cannot enjoy peace within my mind. So what Bhagavad Gītā prescribes is, first step is that we become free from the impact of the changing situations in life. Whatever the situation be, that if I gain a capability of maintaining the tranquility of my mind, okay, things have happened, all right. You must have heard this story. Our Swamiji likes to say this story of this philosopher, a Greek philosopher, that he relocated into some other island. His family was left behind. And there he got established in his business and settled down there. And now he's bringing his whole family there. It seems that in one big ship, all his belongings, all his wealth, all his family, all of this is now transported from place A to place B where he is, and he is eagerly waiting for their arrival. One afternoon, he heard a knock on his door. He opened the door. He finds a man who is breathless. He has something important to tell him. That messenger is not able to say what he wants to say. So this philosopher invites him, making him sit down. He says, "Sir," so what do you have to say? "Sir." "Yes?" "Your ship has sunk." "What?" "Your ship has sunk." "So what?" "Sir, all your wealth is gone." "What?" "All the wealth is gone." "So what?" "Sir, your family also is drowned." "What?" "The family also is drowned." "So what?" What is meant is that he recognizes that this has happened. There's nothing I can do about it. I cannot change it. And therefore, he gracefully accepts even this painful situation, knowing that I cannot change it. Lord, give me the serenity to accept gracefully what I cannot change. Give me courage to change what I can. Also, that's also karma yoga. The courage to do what is right. Let us put it this way, the courage to do what is right, even though it may be painful. And secondly, accepting the consequences gracefully, because I cannot change them. This is the attitude of karma yoga. And when I adopt this attitude, recognizing that that is what is meant for my self-growth, then progressively I become free from reacting to situations. I gain a greater and greater equanimity of the mind. Lord Krishna says, Nirdvando hi mahabaho, O mighty Ram Arjuna, the one who has become free from the impact of these pairs of opposites, sukham bandhat pramuchyate, he can very easily become free from bondage, become free from the need, from the want, from lock, he can become liberated. Otherwise, if you just take sannyasa, you may be neither here nor there. That's what the next verse tells us. Let us read the next verse. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptumayogataha. We'll read only that much line. He mahabaho ayogataha sannyasastu dukkhamaptum. Without the karma yoga, to gain sannyasa, to give up all the actions, would bring about a lot of pain, or it will not serve the purpose. So what is this karma yoga? Let us read the verse number 10 on the page 17. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate na sapapena padmapatramivambhasa. Here Lord Krishna tells us, what is the spirit of karma yoga? What is karma yoga? How can we become karma yogis? So what Bhagavad Gītā prescribes is that we should become all karma yogis. Karma, actions we are performing, duties we are performing. But these actions or whatever actions we are required to do, wherever we are, whether at home, in the place of work, in the marketplace, wherever it is, any action can become yoga when that action is performed with a certain spirit. Lord Krishna says, Brahmani adhaya karmani. The one who performs actions, offering one's actions to Ishvara, to Lord, performing an action, whatever that action is. Bhagavad Gītā does not satisfy what the action should be, whatever the action is, whatever duty we have to perform. As you know, in the Vedic society, in the Vedas, we have the concept of duty. What is duty? Duty is an action that is performed out of a sense of gratitude. When I feel a sense of gratitude, recognizing that I have been the recipient of the support, the benefit of what others have done for me. I recognize, for example, what my parents have done for me, how they have given me this body, nurtured it, nourished it, raised it, and then all of them, when I realize what all they have done for me, what I have gained from them, there arises in me a sense of gratitude. I want to return that favor to them. So when I say that I have duty towards my parents, when I serve my parents, at that time, I don't have any expectation that as a result my parents should do something in return, because I am already doing something in return. When I borrow from you $1,000 with a condition that every month I should return $100 for a year, then when I give you $100 every month, I don't expect something back, because I am only returning the favor that I already gained from you. Similarly also when I recognize how I have been recipient of favor from many sources. The parents and ancestors, of course, an immediate source. Other source that the Vedas point out is our teachers, our sages, all the thinkers, all the scientists, all those who have contributed towards creating this whole base of knowledge, a whole storehouse of knowledge has been contributed by what we call the rishis or sages and many thinkers and teachers and scientists and writers and whatever. I'm indebted to them because I'm freely using from what they have provided to me. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to worry about what this, how to work out the law of gravity. Newton may have spent years and years in coming to this understanding, and he has given us, and many other scientists given us many laws of nature. We don't have to do that. One plus one is equal to 2. I don't have to worry about it because it's already done for me. All I get is, a computer which is so user-friendly. I need not worry about how the hardware is and what the software is. I just do what the computer tells me to do. Now, some people may have spent years and years developing that. I get a motor car, he just tells me how to operate this motor car. That's all I do. If I open the hood, I don't know what's inside. It's most confusing. I need not worry about it. That's because so many people have done so much work to provide me that facility. All that knowledge base is there. This knowledge base is created over thousands of years, and we are the beneficiaries. And therefore, it becomes our duty also to contribute to the knowledge base or make that knowledge available. First of all, study the books that are written and to gain the knowledge, and continue this parampara or continue the tradition of passing on the knowledge. Also becomes our duty. All the forces of nature are constantly serving us. The sun illumines our path. The wind, the air sustains our life. Water sustains our life. Earth sustains our life. Space accommodates us. The sun illumines our path. And all forces of nature are constantly serving me, as though the whole universe is designed for me. I'm indebted to them also because I am the beneficiary of what all they are doing day and night. Swamiji, they are all inert things. They are not doing anything. Sun does not think. Moon does not think. Earth does not think. Why do you think they don't think? When you sow in the field some seeds, when you get this bounty of crop, why do you think that they don't think? You think earth gives us thoughtlessly? When you sow a lemon seed, you get a lemon tree, a mango seed, a mango tree. That seems a lot of intelligence involved, that is not so? In fact, we look upon this universe as a live organic whole. We don't look upon that as an inert thing. We look upon that as representing the infinite wisdom, which is showering its grace upon me constantly. And therefore, it becomes my duty to return that favor. All other members of the society also are doing so much. The farmer does his job, the merchant does his job, the milkman, the postman. How many people are involved when I can live my life? The other day my computer was not working. I call for help, online help. Somebody sitting there to help me. Swami, I pay for it. So what? Sometimes with all the money there is no help available, nothing. You can't get a plumber, for 1 week. What will you do with all your money? This computer mechanic does not come. What will you do? So you can't get help these days. Yes. What if the milkmen strike? The other day I heard how there was some years ago a strike of policemen in Montreal, it seems. And you know what happened? How many robberies? How many bank robberies? How many thefts? What all happened? When police were not doing the duty. We take these things for granted. We don't realize what contribution they have in our life. And what about the animals, the cows? Every animal, plants, trees, all of those have something to contribute in our life. We could not be what we are unless all these things did what they are doing. Here I am ready to spray, what do we call it, those medicines and kill all those insects, insecticide, whatever. Pesticides, insecticides. But they all have something to do with my life. So this is what Vedas and therefore Bhagavad Gītā also draws our attention to our place in the scheme of things in the universe. That I am the beneficiary of what the rest of the universe does. Call that Ishvara. Brahmani adhaya karmani, recognizing this. A karma yogi performs his action, his or her action, in the spirit of returning the favor, because there's a sense of gratitude. When we think about our life, a sense of gratitude will certainly arise. An action performed with a sense of gratitude is called yoga, it's called duty. Thus Vedas look upon our life as nothing but a process of performing the duties, nothing else. Perform an action is an offering to the universe, is offering to nature, is offering to other human beings, they're offering to other animals, of plants, trees, whatever. Meaning that when you perform an action, see how it benefits, make sure that it benefits somebody. Don't always calculate what is in it for me. Because the whole world is already taking care of you without your asking. And therefore, it becomes your duty to take care of them. And the rule is that there is the law of karma, that the reaction is equal to action. When you live a life of offering in this way, when you look upon the rest of the universe as part of your life, as something that is friendly to you, something that is contributing to you, if you look upon the universe that way, and you also conduct yourself in the spirit of contributing to the universe, then this interaction continues. You automatically receive that, from the universe, the same kind of frequency, vibration that you have been also setting up. It is not that it goes waste. You get back. But here Lord Krishna says that perform your actions as a contributor. But Swami, what can I do? I am just working at home. I am just cooking for my family. Where is the universe involved there? Of course it is involved. The universe is involved in every action. Your family goes out, your husband, wife, whoever they are, they go out, children, and they work in the world and they contribute something in the world, and that way you are contributing through them. See, look at yourself as a part of the whole big picture. It depends upon how we look at our own role. If I look upon my role as a menial role, which means nothing, it's not so. We are in fact part of the whole universe. We are contributing. You must have heard this story. When a great cathedral was being built, It was going to be a huge structure, towering structure, a very beautiful structure. The stones are being brought from various places. And there are these people who are, this architect who was designing this once was taking rounds to inspect what is being done and who are the people who are working. He saw 3 people working with the stones. They would take a piece of stone, hammer it, cut it into break into pieces. They're breaking stones. 1, 2, and 3 people. The architect asked the first person. They were all young people. My son, what are you doing? Don't you see what I'm doing? I'm breaking the stones. That's all I'm doing. All right. Went to the next person. What are you doing? I'm breaking the stones and the stone pieces will go into that wall. I'm building that wall. My stones will go into the wall. Okay. Went to the third person. What are you doing? I'm building this cathedral, he says. Depending on what you are looking, what is your role or how do you see your place? I'm building the cathedral, which is true. Each one of these answers is true actually. But each one of us really is a part of the whole universe, and what we do, even little thing that we do, has a contribution. We have to see the whole picture and see how in what we are doing, whether it is cooking, cleaning, vacuuming, you are a CEO or you are a farmer, whoever you are. The world would be incomplete without you. If you did not do what you did, the world would be incomplete. That's sure. So I can say that I am contributing to the functioning of the whole universe, which is true. Doing remains the same, but the spirit is one of contributing. Brahmani adhaya karmani. Brahman means God or Ishvara or the whole universe. One who performs actions as an offering to the whole universe. Meaning that he will not disturb, he will take into account the ecological balance, he will take into account all this well-being of the universe. He will not thoughtlessly destroy something, he will not thoughtlessly disturb the harmony, he will do what is in keeping with the harmony of the universe. Whatever we do. Swamiji, where is universe involved? I am just cooking. So what? You're cooking. How much water are you using? Keep the water running while you're washing your dishes? Or are you conserving water? Conserving fuel? Conserving everything? Minimizing the waste? Minimizing the sewage? Minimizing the impurities? Minimizing those things? And trying to purify also? Are you doing that? Then you are contributing to the whole world. As I am the beneficiary of what the rest of the elements and world is doing, well, may this action also may contribute to their harmony, their well-being. Let what I do contribute to the well-being of everybody. And of course, in everybody's well-being, there is my well-being also. So there is self-centeredness involved, even in so-called selfless action, but it's an enlightened selfishness. Everybody wants to be happy. But being happy by making somebody happy is a different kind of happiness. Enjoying the food is one thing, and enjoying feeding somebody is another thing. So Lord Krishna says, discover the joy of offering. There's a lot of satisfaction involved. A lasting satisfaction. Consuming also involves satisfaction, which is momentary. Contribution involves satisfaction, which is a lasting satisfaction. Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karotyah. Give attachment. Giving up this demand, what am I going to gain out of that? You see, when I do something, I make sure that it is seen by the world. I want to be visible all the time, and so that people know what I am doing, and so that there is an appreciation of what I do. Swami, that much we want. What all I am doing, see, these people have no value at all, no appreciation. They work so hard, nobody even said a word. When I came in, she was singing, and everybody was listening. At least when the song was, I clapped, at least everybody started clapping. There's some kind of an appreciation, all that people are listening to me and that they have value for what I'm doing. So our ego is always seeking some kind of a compensation for what it does. Always doing things with self-interest. That's not the way to become happy. Sangam tyaktva, give up the attachment. That how my ego will be gratified, give up that attachment. Give up the desire for self-gratification. May you not look upon your action merely as a means of self-gratification. That's called giving up attachment. Swamiji, if gratification does not come, accept it gracefully. Whatever is outcome, accept it gracefully. After all this hard work, Swamiji, they did not say a word, doesn't matter. See, this result becomes very important to us because the action is not very important. But Lord Krishna says, enjoy the very process, enjoy the very action that you are doing, and then the outcome will not remain that important. Today the outcome is so important because I am only performing action for a given outcome. So while I am performing action, my mind is engaged in only thinking about outcome. Once I give up the concern about outcome, then my total concern will be for what I am doing, then my action will be also the best because my total attention goes behind that, and outcome will come because when you perform an action, outcome has to come. Perform the action for the best outcome. You are not saying that you be indifferent to the outcome. You are shooting an arrow to hit the target, so you perform an action for a given outcome, no doubt about that. Having done it, forget about it. Now pay attention to action. Let outcome take care of itself. In case the outcome is not what you want, still accept it gracefully. This universal wisdom, infinite wisdom has given you that. There is something right in it, accept it gracefully. Because in our small little intellect, with small limited knowledge, we decide what is right and wrong, what is good and bad for us. That may not be so. Therefore, rather than demanding that I should get what is good for me, rather I accept what comes to me is good for me. Rather than demanding that my desires should be satisfied, whatever comes is enough for me. There is something that I need and something that I want. The universe is not obliged to give me what I want, but it gives me what I need. That kind of a confidence. Because again, Karma Yogi recognizes it is not the external gain that is going to really make me successful. It is my inner growth, and so he looks upon every karma as an opportunity for inner growth, for his own offering, his own contribution. Lipyatena sapapena padmapatramivambasa. Says he is not tainted by any papa, any sin. Just as a lotus petal is not tainted by or not wetted by water, so also he remains free from reactions. Because he is willing to accept what comes gracefully, and therefore, whether success or failure, he accepts gracefully and he learns from that. We are not saying that you should work for failure or anything, but if it comes, okay, that's also a reality. Let us not become depressed. Let us not start blaming the whole world or blaming ourselves and pull our hair. Okay, this happened. So what? And what can I do next? In fact, we maintain that tranquility of mind, that every situation will teach us something and will help us to grow, not only spiritually, but materially also. Thus the Karma Yogi remains free from the reactions of attachment and aversion. every action becomes a means of getting rid of attachment and aversion without increasing any more. Thus progressively he becomes free. The first level of freedom is from the inner pressures, from my attachment aversions, from my sense of always self-centeredness. That's a great pressure. The first level of moksha, of freedom, is from that. Which is what? Karma Yoga, which is life activity does. Lord Krishna says that unless you have done that, unless you have gained that freedom from attachment, aversion, until then you continue this activity, action, perform your duties, don't give up the duties, because that is the only means that you have for gaining inner purification. For gaining freedom from the inner pressures. The only thing is you have to interact with the world. Because world has an uncanny knack of pushing buttons. And therefore they will press your buttons. And whatever anger you have, whatever resentment you have, whatever attachments you have, whatever greed you have, all your greed and anger, all of these will be brought out. They'll put temptations before you. My greed comes out. And my greed wants to control my action. I said, no. What is right will be done, not what not necessarily what I want. Sometimes you push button, anger comes out. Again I tell myself, not out of anger, Swami, not out of anger, out of kindness you have to act. So thus when there is a commitment to this yoga, to the values also, I am required to subdue my impulses, otherwise I can't do what is right. So impulses are, and if I go to forest, then there is nobody to push my buttons. I think everything is fine, but it's not fine. A puddle of water may look very clean on the surface. When you throw a stone pebble, then all the mud that is below that comes out. So when they throw stones, when they push buttons, what is inside comes out. Then I know this is what I have within me. Then we know then we can deal with it. Lipyatena sapapena padmapatramivambasa, ultimately gains a mastery over himself that regardless of what the external conditions are, he maintains his own equanimity. He maintains his own compassion regardless of how others treat him, that he is not unsaddled from his compassion. He is not unsaddled from his values. No situation unsaddle him from his goodness. Karma yogi performs every action invoking his goodness. And then he becomes so adept that nothing can unsettle him from his goodness, from his compassion, from his kindness. And further, the next verse also says something more. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindriyairapi yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. Kayena manasa buddhya indriyahi. Kayena by the body, manasa by the mind, buddhya by the intellect, indriyahi by the organs of action. Yogis perform action, as we also do. Meaning that when we perform actions, our organs of actions are brought into operation, our mind is brought into operation, our intellect is brought into operation, our body is brought into operation, meaning that when we perform actions, the whole personality is brought into operation. So what is so different about karma yogi from an ordinary person? Here, Lord Krishna uses one kevalehi indriyahi, merely by the sense organs, kevalehi. Here what it means is that without the sense of ownership, that karma yogi performs action through the body, senses, mind, intellect, the whole personality is brought into operation while performing action. But what is this relationship with the body-mind complex? What is my relationship? I say, this is my body. This is my mind. My intellect. This is mine. And therefore, whatever is done through this belongs to me. See, when I invest my money, then whatever profit comes belongs to me. If I am suppose a money manager and you have given me $100,000 to invest, then what comes belongs to you. Suppose you gave me $100,000 and then I say it is mine, and suppose you make $25,000 I make, then I serve that. That's not right. So now the question is, this body, these sense organs, this mind, intellect, meaning the knowledge that I have, the skills which I have, the capabilities which I have, all of these which I employ in performing the different tasks that are before me. As a result of performing those different tasks or actions, there is a certain reward that comes as a result. Now, who does that reward belong to? This is the question. It belongs to the one who is the owner. So who is the owner? Who is the owner of this body? And this mind? And the intellect? And the knowledge? And the skills? And all the kind of things that I have? Who is the real owner of them? Lord Krishna would say that Ishvara is the owner, the universe is the owner, Ishvara, who is the creator, he is the owner. Because you and I have not created this body, or the sense organs, or the mind, or the intellect, all of this is given to us. Even knowledge also is given to us by various teachers and many other people. All the training was given to me, all the skills were given to me, everything that I have is all given to me. I did not bring it with me. Therefore, ideally speaking, I am not the owner of anything. The one who has created is the owner in the real sense. I can be called a trustee of the things rather than an owner. There's a big difference. This is Jain Bhavan, this is a temple. If I'm a trustee or one of the trustees of this temple, then all the money, there are donation boxes and stuff like that. So people put money in that. At the end of the month, we count $10,500. Who does it belong to? Does it belong to me, the trustee, or it belongs to the temple? I may be managing everything, I may be counting everything, I may be going to the bank, I may be depositing, but it's depositing in the account of the temple, not in my account. Because I'm a trustee and not the owner. So Lord Krishna says that the karma yogi looks upon himself or herself as not an owner of this body-mind complex, but rather a trustee. And therefore, whatever is produced as a result of performing actions through this complex belongs to the real owner who is Ishvara, and therefore, whatever comes is offered to the Ishvara. Yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. These are all tough things to do. These are all easy, but this is what ultimately has to be done for us to really grow within ourselves. Yesterday we said, what is meant by self-growth is to bring to surface the wholeness or completeness which is our nature. Happiness is not to be created, has to be surfaced. Right now also, when I enjoy any pleasurable object, then I am surfacing the happiness, I am not creating it. So today, I am dependent upon all these pleasurable things to invoke or to surface that happiness. Lord Krishna says, live this way of life so that you can command rather than depend upon something else. This is a path of freedom where I progressively remove or get rid of these likes and dislikes, all the various impulses in my mind, which in fact come in the way of my enjoying the happiness which is my nature. What deprives me of the peace that is my nature, or happiness that is my nature? Nothing but these impulses. This lust, anger, greed, jealousies, all of these are depriving me of the happiness or peace which is my nature. So get rid of those obstructing factors, then automatically the happiness or fullness which is my nature will surface. So two ways of living life. Life of bhoga, where I depend upon the world to surface my happiness, or I do it myself by living a life of yoga. So karma yogis are very intelligent people. All of this is possible when the scheme of things is understood. That life is meant for, life is a process of accomplishing what is already there. The treasure is already buried within me. All I need to do is to remove these obstacles of these impulses, and then it is mine. So karma yoga is thus a process of progressively getting rid of these impulses of attachments, aversions, etc., so that we experience a greater and greater degree of inner satisfaction, inner peace, inner happiness. We gain a greater and greater tranquility of the mind, which is what again is said in the verse number 7 on the previous page. I'm sorry but then the thought train goes this way, that is why I'm going back and forth. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyah sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate. We can also read the second line of the verse number 6, which we did not read that time. Yoga yukto munir brahma nachirena adhigacchate. Yoga yukta munihi brahma nachirena adhigacchate. Yoga yukta, one who is endowed with this spirit of yoga. Understand that every situation gives us an opportunity to entertain in our mind this attitude of yoga. Every moment, in fact. What is karma? Any interaction that we have with the world is called karma. Whether I'm walking, talking, whatever I'm doing, is all karma. And while doing that karma, I have the freedom to entertain what kind of attitude I want to entertain. The attitude of yogi is that may this karma be a means of happiness for the world. But Swami, I am eating food, how can that be for happiness of the world? I am eating food, let this food go into my system, contribute to my health. With that health, may I perform good actions. After all, when can you do good? Only when you are enjoying a good health. So everything ultimately can become directly or indirectly an act of contribution. It's for us to connect everything. While eating food, yat karosi, yadashnasi, yad juhosi, dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Lord Krishna says, whenever you eat, when you give charity, when you perform a puja, when you perform a penance, whatever you do it in such a manner that it becomes an offering to me, becomes an offering to the universe. Let this contribute to the wellness of the universe. Swami, what can I do? I am just a speck in the whole thing. I am nothing. The whole universe is so vast. This little thing that I do, what does it matter? Why should you worry about that? There is this young man There was an old man once was taking a walk on the beach, on the seashore, and he saw a young man at a certain distance. This man was doing something. He would bend down, pick up something, and throw into water. Bend down, pick up something, throw into water. From a distance, the old man did not understand, what is this fellow doing? So he went, where the young man was doing this thing, and he said, what are you doing? He says, crabs. What happens is these tides bring a lot of crabs to this shore, and when the tide subsides, all these fellows remain in the sand, and then they die subsequently without water. So what are you doing? Taking one and throwing back into the water. Young man, do you realize that there are thousands of them here? How many are going to throw in water? So without replying, young man bent down, took one into his hand, threw it. And what difference does it make? The old man says, it makes difference to this fellow at least, What difference does it make? Even if you throw a few crabs into the water, what difference will it make? So he picked up one and threw that and said, it makes difference to this one. And so, we need not think that our action doesn't mean anything. It means something. What does it matter? That it does something. It adds to some little peace, some comfort, some happiness, something, somewhere, some cleaning up, some purity, some ecological, I don't know what. Whatever you value in your life. Some people value ecological balance, some people value environmental and awareness, some people want women empowerment, somebody wants children, whatever you value. Something more than filling my own belly, something more than that value I think I should have in my life. God may be a very big thing, but at least something like that we should have. Whatever value, for that cause. Let there be cause in life, some cause. And I can connect what I do with that cause. It doesn't, Swami, but I'm 82-year-old, what can I do? You can do whatever. You're sitting at home, you can do something. Perform your prayers. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Let everybody be happy, let everybody be healthy. That you can do. Yoga yuktaha munihi. This way a person becomes muni, becomes a sage, becomes a contemplative one. Nachirena brahma adhigacchati. In no time he attains Brahman, attains God. Those steps are elaborated in the verse that we just read, the verse number 7. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriya sarvbhutatma bhutatma kurvannapena lipyate. Yoga yukta vishuddhatma. So one who is living life of yoga becomes vishuddhatma. Because one whose atma antahkaranam, his mind becomes pure. What is meant by purity of mind is this freedom from the impulses. These impulses are all intruders. In fact, peace is our own nature. Peace is nature of mind also. But all those impulses that disturb the peace, such as anger, such as jealousy, such as self-centeredness, such as frustration, all of these are intruders. So we can get rid of them. And Karma Yoga is an excellent means of getting rid of them, because whenever this impulse arises, I do not support that impulse, I do what is right to do. And progressively my mind becomes free from the impulses. Vishuddhatma. I become a person enjoying purity of mind. Vijitatma. When mind becomes pure, free from the impulses, it becomes very favorable to me. The reason why today mind is not in my control, mind controls me, is because it is under the control of the impulses. As these demons or these fellows are slowly driven away, then mind becomes calmer and calmer, becomes more and more favorable to me, becomes my friend. I enjoy the favor of my mind, I enjoy a mastery of the mind. Vijitatma, jitendriya, when there is mastery of the mind, there is also mastery over all my sense organs, meaning I become person with integrated personality. In Puja Swamiji's words, together as a person, enjoying togetherness, enjoying a harmony in my whole personality. That's how I become Muni, I become a contemplative person. Then my mind is available to focus the attention on what's the nature of the self. When we then subject ourselves to the teaching, teaching becomes relevant to us. Otherwise, every time, but what is in it for me, Swamiji? All right, I have this problem with my wife. What will Gītā do for that? I have a problem with my child. Every time, same questions. What about children? What about wife? And what about this? And what about this? Nothing else. We never go ahead. After years and years, and every satsang, only this is a question. Nothing else seems to matter. Then other things start mattering to us. That who has created the universe? What's the nature of the harmony? What is my place in it? What is my relationship with it? What's the goal of my life? So these things become important. Right now, having finished a breakfast, what is there for lunch? That's important. Go Monday morning to work, what am I doing Friday evening? That's all. Working for the whole year, what kind of planning for the vacation for the whole year? We are very experts in all this kind of planning. That's all. That consumes our time and everything. Yoga yukto munir brahma becomes muni, becomes contemplative. And some other things become important in life now. Then this teaching becomes very relevant to us. Knowledge of the self, sarva bhutatma bhutatma. As a result of this teaching, we realize that, hey, myself is the self of all. In fact, in all this diversity, there is one unity. There is a connecting link. There is a thread that connects everything. Even though everything appears to be diverse and connected, that is not so. There is something that connects not only you and I, but the whole universe. And that self I am, in fact, is that consciousness, that self I am. Sarva bhutatma bhutatma, the self that is me is the self of all, that there is no separation, no separatedness. There is oneness. Kurannapi nilipyate. When he performs actions, he is no more bound, he is no more tainted, he has become free, regardless of what he does, because he spontaneously does what is right, or what is good, or what is in harmony, and therefore, he cannot do anything wrong, he cannot hurt anybody, his actions automatically are contribution to the harmony in the universe. He has become liberated while living. It's called Jivan Mukta, becomes liberated while living. That's what Karma Yoga does. It leads to all of this. That's why Lord Krishna says, Tayostu karma sannyasat karma yoga vishishyate. Sannyasa also can do this, of course. But better do Karma Yoga, because then you will sure to become a sannyasi. And by sannyasi is not meant whether you take to life of a sannyasi or not, but you can definitely become a sannyasi in your own mind. That spirit of that vairagya, dispassion comes to you. Become an objective person. Then there is a desire for knowledge. All the desires get ultimately converge into one desire, and that is desire for knowledge. Become a jignasu, one who wants to know. And when that happens, then of course, knowledge is the next step. That's how in these verses, Lord Krishna describes how Karma Yoga, meaning performing our actions, performing the duties, or performing whatever I am required to do in the spirit of yoga is the sure means of my inner growth, ultimately will become a means of achieving the goal of my life, which is moksha, or liberation, or freedom, or wholeness, or completeness, or limitlessness. Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।